on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, along with Kristen. This is Flix Fix. We're not talking about wrestling, which I did in the first take, which Kristen's going to make fun of me for. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What's going on, Kristen?
It's not fun if you point it out already.
How you doing, Kristen?
I'm doing good.
You're sad you didn't get to make fun of me.
I am. I'm real sad. I brought the mood down just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a thing now. We said goodbye to WandaVision. Like, it feels like forever ago, but really it was only like 2 weeks. 3, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, and we're going to do what we did with WandaVision every 2 weeks or so. We're going to come up and talk to you guys about it like we did with WandaVision. Marvel is rolling this boulder up the hill as far as Disney Plus goes, and I like it so far. And I think you like it so far.
I do very much like it so far.
What's your initial, like, other than just getting a quick thumbs up, what's your initial take on what we've seen so far in the first 2 episodes?
In the first 2 episodes, if you're wanting to get into it right now, I would suggest, well, now that episodes 1 and 2 are out, I feel like that's the best way to start it, is to watch the first 2 episodes. Because I feel like the first episode is kind of like a here's where they are now after the fight with Thanos, and after, like, if they had been snapped away, they're back now, and kind of the aftermath of all of that. And so, you know, you didn't get a lot of... It was kind of like the recap episode, basically. So I think it's better to watch as these 2 episodes. So I was like, all right, with the first episode, and then the second episode is like, I'm in.
I think that's pretty fair. I mean, like, WandaVision kind of did the same thing. We were about 3 episodes in before we actually kind of got a firm grasp on what they were doing. So it's not entirely unique that the first one sort of sets a baseline and then the second one takes off. My big first take on this, and I think we said this at the end of WandaVision when we reviewed the last episode, after something like WandaVision, which basically had no rules because it was all, like, magical and dimensional and, you know, is it in somebody's head or is it real or is somebody else, you know, casting a spell on somebody, where there's basically no rules. I love how grounded this feels in comparison.
Oh, yeah, it's super grounded.
Well, because it's
do you want
people.
to speed through the first episode first?
I do. Basically, I think you and I have both said it in different ways. The first episode was us basically just checking in and seeing where everybody is, and you could basically cut the episode in half because they don't actually bring Falcon and Winter Soldier together. So you get a bit of Bucky and a bit of Falcon and a bit more Bucky and a bit of Falcon. It starts off with Falcon.
Can I make a prediction based on solely what I thought from the first episode?
Absolutely.
Because I remember this. Based on what is essentially the first scene of one of the first scenes of the first episode, which is, I guess, Cap's quote funeral, sort of is what it is. It's basically like a memorial for Captain America, and Falcon is donating the shield to the Smithsonian, basically.
I don't think it's a funeral as much as it's like sort of a tribute and an opening to
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to say a wing, but like it's a new presentation of the museum.
Life and Times of Captain America.
I think in the story it's more to point out that Falcon mind-blowingly was willing to just give the shield back.
I think this whole series, this whole 6 episode, is going to be Falcon finally accepting being Captain, deciding to be at least his version of being Captain America.
And it's not like
the beginning is him being like, no, I'm not Steve, and Steve was Captain America.
Yeah, and it's not like him giving the shield away.
We start the episode of the heroes. We start the episode. We start the series with Sam essentially having the hero's journey, going straight to denying the call, basically.
Absolutely. But what I was going to say is it's not like him giving away the shield is going to be a bone of contention between him and Bucky or anything. Like, goddamn if that's not drilled home in the second episode, which we're going to talk about in a second. But what we did get, and like I say, we're just sort of putting the chess pieces in place when he's at the Smithsonian after the presentation's been given, after the shield's been put behind glass. He's met by War Machine because they're both military personnel, and it seems like a mostly military presentation. And he's the first one to ask, sort of like, "What are you doing? Like, he gave that to you. What are you thinking?" type thing. And I think at one point he says, you've still got. He's sort of questioning him and giving him a pep talk at the same time, like, you've really got something to contribute to whatever's coming next and all that sort of thing. But he's basically there at that point to be the voice of the audience. Like, we just saw the end of, Endgame, which was the end of, the Infinity Saga, which was like 23 movies plus. So we went from Captain America the First Avenger to Captain America the Old... Excuse me.
Bless you.
Captain America the First Avenger to Captain America the old guy on the bench. And the end of that arc was him getting the shield. And the first thing we see in this show is him handing it off. So I think it's kind of awesome that they brought in War Machine to be the voice of the audience at that point, to be like, we need an explanation for this. On a more structural level, we know that off the back of this is going to be the War Machine show, which is Armor Wars. And that's going to be all about Rhodey and him fighting the government because they get a hold of a bunch of Tony's tech. And that's just going to be robot fighting, which I'm really looking forward to. And that, like I say, that just looks like...
I would also like to say that it totally proves Tony right from the second Iron Man movie, where he's like, you guys are just going to fuck it up. No, I'm not giving you Iron Man suits.
Absolutely. I mean...
And then eventually he's like, you get the one. You get one Iron Man suit. That's it.
It's basically like, I gave it to my friend, and my friend happens to work for you.
Yes.
That's
so
what the Rhodey thing is, right? And then what did he have? He had the Hammer Tech missile that didn't go anywhere.
The ex-wife. I'm gonna bust his bunker with the ex-wife, and then it shoots and.
The ex-wife is a dud. I could make a whole slew of jokes about that, but I'm gonna move swiftly on. And I do like that War Machine's cameo was just a cameo, because it set the tone for where Sam's head is at. It sets the tone to remind us that War Machine is still a thing. And then he went off and sort of did stuff. And then we get this weird spin-off into, like, his family and his sister and his sister's kid, and they're trying to get the family business back up and going, and it's failing, and they can't get money, and rah-de-rah-de-rah, which is...
There's also... We'll talk about that other plot later. I liked this part specifically because I think I like how Marvel, in different ways, in small ways, without making a huge, movie about it or about this one thing, how they, show how the world has changed.
Yep.
Post everybody coming back from the blip. I still hate that it's called the blip, but whatever.
Yep. The blip is stupid. The snap is better.
It's like the one stupid thing that I can't deal with, but whatever.
Yeah. We talked about that early on when we were doing our predictions for 2020 and 2021. Like, either they're going to hit this on the head or they're not. You can't take away half the population and bring them back 5 years later without catastrophic social.
And it's showing with that, it's showing ramifications of it, but on not. You think of the large scale. You see the large scale of all those people coming back. You don't think of the small scale. I didn't think about the fact that, Sam's trying to, apply for a loan, but the bank's like, you haven't worked in 5 years. And he's like, yeah, but I was blipped out of existence. How many times do you think somebody's come in being like, I was one of those people that disappeared and then came back? And so the bank's having to be and
I think they're
having to be cautious about who they give money to. Are you really somebody that got blipped out of existence, or are you, just shitty with money and jobs?
And see, I will say in that scene, I let it go because it works for the story that they're trying to tell. But you're not going to tell me that any one of the Avengers walks into a bank after saving the world and doesn't get any assistance. Like,
Yeah.
that is a little bit comically like, oh, this is the bank guy who's the symbol of everything wrong with the world right now.
Well, no, the guy is the nice guy. He's being held. He's like, I guess, the institution.
Yeah.
Is what he's representing, but he's also the guy. He's also represents the guy that like sees a superhero as just like, oh, cool, get a selfie with you. And how now they live in that world where like
he did touch on what I always love.
Everybody wants something from you.
He did touch on what I always love though, because we know that like the Tony Starks and the Bruce Waynes of the superhero world are like already rich, guys with lots of toys and whatever. But like you don't just randomly get a paycheck for being a superhero. Like, where would that come? Like, they do kind of touch on that.
They kind of talked about that a little bit in Age of Ultron when Captain America is trying to, like, buy a place in Brooklyn. And he's like, I can't afford a place in Brooklyn. You're fucking Captain America. Somebody should hand you a goddamn place in Brooklyn.
I mean, that's true. Like, you get into, like, and I promise I'm not going to spin this off into too much real-world conversations. Like, well, some people just have way more than they should. It's like, some people save the world. Like, we're in the situation we're in right now because of COVID. Whoever has developed the Pfizer formula and the Moderna formula and the Johnson & Johnson formula, their grandchildren should never have to work. Like, that's just my opinion. But, like, transplant the way I feel about that legitimately in the real world into this. Like, you literally brought half of the population of the world back. Have a house. It's the least we can do.
Well, and touching on that in touching on another part of this same episode, there's a lot of people that aren't stoked about that thought the world was great after the blip.
Oh, we're going to get
which is kind of where our main series villains come in.
Where the Flag Smashers come in. But it's not, and I do want to say, and this is sort of like a human story, because ultimately they're not going to the bank for a handout, like some people do in the real world. They're asking for a little bit of help to get out there and make their own money. They're not saying, hey, I used to be a hero, so give me an allowance. It's like, give me a little bit so I can go earn some more money. So I think it was a little, like a tiny bit over the top for the story they were trying to tell there, but it still fit perfectly. What you did see, and
I don't think they went into this too much in that scene. I feel like, I don't want to say I'm going to add some context because you didn't understand that part. I literally just thought about this as we were talking about.
That's fine.
I think what that scene was supposed to be is that she was applying for the loan and he was like being her like co-signer.
Right. Being
her co-signer, and he, has been gone for 5 years, and she has all these loans already that, she's already kind of behind on everything.
Right.
So,
and I've seen people out there being like, oh...
keep talking. A dog just walked in to into the office. 1 second. Hi, pups.
Let's be really awkward and silent until Kristen gets back. Super awkward. Talking to the dog. All right. Really, really awkward silence.
No, you have to get out of the office.
Awkward silence for the co-host till she comes back to the microphone. That's all we're doing. We're not continuing this conversation at all. We're just going to have awkward silence till Kristen comes back to the microphone. We can keep talking about the show. More and more awkward silence till she gets back, till she's back on the microphone. I don't think she's back yet.
Sorry about that. How much of that did you hear?
Oh, we heard all of it.
Okay, good.
We heard all of it. I just sat here and said awkward silence till Kristen comes back to the microphone.
Well, Brian opened the door back behind me, and I didn't see him open the door, and our roommate, and I looked, and the dog, he's watching his sister's dog right now. The dog walked in, and I looked at it for a full, 10 seconds and thought, oh, that's a dog. Wait, we don't have a dog. I had a moment where I forgot. I had 10 seconds where, it was a normal thing for me to see because I see dogs all the time because of work.
But then context?
But then I was like, oh, that's a dog. It was a moment of, oh, that's a dog. Wait, that's a dog in our house. Who the fuck's dog is that? Because we don't have a dog. And in that full text 10 seconds, he was there. Dogs exist. We don't have one. Oh, I know who that dog is. Anyway,
okay. It's okay. It's okay. We forgive you. It's fine.
I was thrown off by the presence of a pooch.
A couple podcasts ago, it was Travis. This time, it was a dog. It's fine.
Yes, the dog didn't give his opinions, though.
The dog didn't come in to say, I have no idea what's going to happen.
The dog came in and was like, ooh, there's McDonald's bags on the ground.
I mean,
need to check and see what's in these.
I mean, to be fair, if I was chilling at your place and I came across some random McDonald's, I'm just saying. Anyways, getting back to what we were talking about with Falcon and his...
so that's what I think was supposed to happen in
Yeah.
that.
No, I want
that he was probably co-signing for a loan, and being like, I'm fucking Falcon. Like, I'll give her the loan because she's my sister. And they're like, you haven't worked it like 5 years.
Now, I heard some back... And this is where I want to grab your opinion, because, when it comes to guy-girl issues, I always want to get your opinion. I heard a take after the first episode that it was really, really misogynistic to cast him as the guy that's like, oh, my sister's having trouble. Let me come in and save her. Nah. It's like any big brother who thinks he has something to offer in that situation would try to help in that situation.
She's like, in this situation, she's like, I already know how to fix it. But he doesn't want her to fix it in that way. He wants to fix it the way he does, because he wants to keep... The boat is like...
It's like a family business, yeah.
Is their family.
But
and he doesn't want that, but she's like, fucker, I gotta, survive.
Yeah, it is kind of annoying, and it didn't last very long, I'll be fair. It is kind of annoying to me that she seems annoyed with him that he got blinked out of existence for 5 years. And
I don't think she's annoyed that he got blinked out of existence. She's annoyed that, he got blinked out of existence. She had to deal with all this shit, and now that he's back, which she's happy about, he's just like, oh, I'm gonna come in, clearly you weren't fixing it right. I'm gonna fix it. I'm a fucking Avenger.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. This is where I get on my high horse about everybody thinking just because somebody has either a position or some money that they're automatically bad. Like, if you have a position that you think you can leverage to help somebody else that you love because they're your sister, brother, whoever, and you try to use it to help them, to me, that's like the farthest thing from misogynistic. It's like, you're a bigger dick if you don't try to use that advantage for their assistance. And I just thought, oh, Falcon's a dick now. He's trying to step over his sister, and I'm like, that is such a reactionary take. I can't.
If you're gonna talk about Falcon being a dick, it's the fact that he thinks that after 5 years of her dealing with it, he could just waltz in and be like, oh no, I can fix it. It has nothing to do with him being a dude.
I mean, she's not an Avenger, so she doesn't have that to leverage.
No, but
as we said, they should be giving him a house, not asking him to fill out some more forms. But anyway, I just think it's unnecessarily tense. I get that they're trying to portray a real life situation, and this is where some of that grounding compared to the last show that we talked about is appreciated. I think they've just overwritten that scene a little bit. Anyways, what I didn't mention at the beginning was we caught Falcon sort of right after, it was either right before or right after he had given up the shield and whatnot. He was on some kind of mission following somebody. Basically, it was an opening action scene so that we can see how he flies and how he fights and how the new Red Wing works. And Red Wing can just sort of go off on its own and weld its way into cars.
It's like a drone, basically.
Well, it is, but
with extra shit on it that can hack. It's Jarvis, but in a totally different piece of... Instead of it being in his armor, it can go off. It's like if Jarvis had a tiny Iron Man suit and flew around with Tony.
It's remote Jarvis.
It is. It's remote Jarvis.
If it talks by the end of this show, I'll kind of pop for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, for a little background context, when he calls it Red Wing,
in the comics, it's an actual bird, isn't it?
Yeah, in the earlier version, it's a real bird that he has. That's his little sidekick, basically.
Okay, well, if that talks, I'm going to be really impressed then. But,
so I like that they brought the idea of Red Wing in without it being like, look, I have a fucking bird that's my friend.
well,
it's
they did.
just like a piece of tech, and I'm going to call it Red Wing because it annoys the fuck out of some people.
Well, they introduced it in, which movie was it?
They introduced it in one of them because he talked about it. And it annoyed the fuck out of somebody. I forget who it was.
I'm trying to think now. That's really terrible. People that are watching this in the live chat are going to be going nuts.
I know it's in Civil War because
there we go.
It
is Civil War
to get rid of Spider-Man.
It is in Civil War. It's
like,
in
you couldn't get rid of that soon. You couldn't have done that sooner. I hate you.
In the opening fight when they're fighting Crossbones and he sends the Red Wing bird out to help Black Widow at some point. And she thanks him, and he's like, don't thank me, thank Red Wing. And she's like, I'm not thanking that thing. He's like, come on, he's cute, pet him. which in different contexts would be really, really inappropriate. But the whole point of them having this big opening scene, really, in my eyes, is so that you can have the scene after where he's landed in whatever country he's landed in, and he's like sitting there at the cafe table, like tinkering with it and trying to fix it and whatever. He's like, I have to fix it myself. Every time the government tries to fix it, they fuck it up. Type thing, they're no Tony Stark because name drop Tony Stark, why not? And his friend, like his little informant,
his sidekick,
yeah,
his informant,
basically, who's trying to warn him about the Flag Smashers, and they shows him the big red hand symbol with the globe in it, and you get a little bit of exposition about, hey, here's this group of people that liked it in the 5-year gap when there was half the population, and borders kind of went away, and we all came together, and they're trying to get that type of life back, and that's a setup for not only us to know who they were, but to know why this guy is sort of there skulking around trying to get footage when there actually is a Flag Smashers riot, and we see people getting thrown around by other people, being thrown farther across the road than a normal person would be able to throw another normal person, and he's just saying, like, he's trying to send him more video footage, like, hey, here, check this out. They try to do facial recognition, something or other, and they can't because they've all got the masks on with the hand and whatever the case may be. Now, the flip side of that is the Bucky story. Bucky's having nightmares because, of course, he is.
And he's in court-mandated therapy.
He's
been pardoned.
He's been pardoned, but a condition of the pardon, and we get into this in episode 2, a condition of the pardon is he has to go to therapy. He's talking to this woman, and
being the stereotypical tough guy who doesn't want to talk about the problems that he's having.
She's also scripted as the very stereotypical therapist in a show like this. Like, I'm doing therapy
the stern therapist that is done with your shit.
The stern therapist that stands there like with the cliche notepad. It's like, if you don't start saying stuff, I'm gonna start writing stuff, and then cross arms like, oh, I know what that really means. It's funny, and it works, because all those cliches become cliches for a reason, but it's a little harder to pull, nuance from it when it is so much like that. But it is a good way for us to open up to see where he's at. And the thing that I love...
I mean, because you have to think he was a fugitive for a while. He was a fugitive because they thought he was the one who killed all those people.
Yep.
Then he was in Wakanda, kind of being, he gave up the arm, or his arm got blown off, kind of being, hermit in Wakanda, and then got his arm back and immediately started fighting, and got blipped. He got blipped, right? Yeah, he got blipped. He got snapped.
I do remember that, because everybody had that debate of like, oh, the person got blipped. How did his mechanical arm get blipped when everybody else just dropped their weapons? And yeah, he did. I know, but I remember those conversations happening. The most poignant thing in this entire... I
assume what happened is it dropped right there, even though we didn't see it, and then when everybody got snapped back, he got snapped exactly where he was, and he just picked it up and put it back on.
Or he got blipped back in, like, a bathroom and had no arm to wipe. But, anyways.
Well, no, because he got blipped out in Wakanda.
This is true.
Anyways, so, he's been blipped too, so he is yet really to deal with all the demons of, I am a man out of time.
Yeah.
That was, killing people for the last 50 years for, Hydra and shit.
Yeah. The best thing about this is, right, you and I, when we did our big, massive, let's review the first 19 MCU movies, what I said to you was one of the best lines in all of Marvel is when, in Civil War, when Captain America is telling Tony, we can't fight, we can't do this is what they want us to do, and he just responds back with, yeah, I don't care, he killed my mom. That's one of the best scenes ever. The best scene I have here is where the therapist is, telling him, sort of where he should be. You've been exonerated, all that other stuff is behind you, nobody's coming after you, nobody's trying to put you back in jail, all you really have to do is come to therapy, you're free now. And he just looks at her, he's like, free to do what? And
exactly.
that's the big question. What I love about this, and they don't hit it on the nose in the therapy session so much, but in general over the course of the episode, is everybody else on the planet pretty much is dealing with the ramifications of everybody being gone and then everybody being back, and what a horrible worldwide thing that is. Bucky's not dealing with that shit. Bucky's dealing with shit that happened 50 years before that. And I think for him to be having the nightmares about all the people that he's killed and all that sort of thing, and be tackling that stuff instead of the blip while the rest of the world is dealing with the blip.
Blip was a vacation for him.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's set, from a mental, psychological point of view, it sets him, once again, as he has been for most of his life, it sets him on an island from the rest of the world. And that's, I don't want to get too melodramatic, but that's heartbreaking in a way. There's nobody else that's going to get what I'm going through, because the only other person that could even come close would be Cap, who's also from his time and whatever. But we do find out that he's having nightmares. We do find out that he's having nightmares about the people that he used to kill. And we find out that one of the old people in his neighborhood who he's tried to be friends with, he's kind of only friends with and looking out for because he knows that he killed this guy's son. So when this old guy is having a fight in the alley with some young person, he tells the young guy to fuck off, and then they go to the bar together, and the old guy tries to set him up with the chick at the bar. And
he does set her up. They have a date.
Yeah, and then he sort of blurts out that he's 140-something years old, and it's just what? And then she calls him out on not wearing the glove and wearing the glove, and it's another one of those, how do you not know that he's an Avenger? Or at least we saw back in, what is it?
I mean, his face was plastered everywhere for killing all those people at the UN.
But even before that, I'm thinking way back to the movie The Winter Soldier. When they were first talking about the first museum exhibit.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He had his own wing in the Captain America exhibit back then. So again, it's one of those, how do you not know who this guy is? But again,
doesn't go to a museum very often.
Yeah, whatever the case may be. But it's one of those, you can either question it and be like, oh, I'm going to be really scrutiny and point that out, or be like, ha, that's hilarious, she doesn't know who he is. And I think if they're just trying to play her off as a potential date for him, that's what they're going for. I mean, I'm not 140-something years old. Never mind my...
He was 106. She goes, how old are you?
Yeah.
106. And she's like, ha ha.
Oh, yeah, because he tried to talk about how terrible online dating is, and she's like, that's something my dad would say.
Yeah, how old are you?
Dad jokes are... I get accused of telling dad jokes, believe it or not. But, I don't have any kids, so if I was telling dad jokes, that would make me a faux pas. Moving on. There we go, I got a Kristen Boo out of it, it's fine. So we sort of close out the episode as sort of a mutual heartbreaking moment for both of these guys, because, obviously they're both connected by Cap, who's probably still around, but not around or something. The government
But not, yeah.
Government is responding to the Flag Smashers riot.
The first what the fuck moment of the series is at the end of the first episode.
Yeah, and basically they introduce, here's new Captain America. And it's like, we didn't order it from Walmart, we ordered it from Wish. Because the guy looks like a goof. Like, the guy 100% looks like a goof, and, like, you see him come out with the shield, and...
Funny enough, if you look at his character from the comics, though, he looks exactly like him.
I've seen some still shots, yeah. He comes out with the shield, and obviously Sam and Thing are pissed, and sort of they linger off.
Da fuck?
Yeah.
End of episode.
Now, I don't know if there were post-credit scenes for the first 2 episodes, because for some reason my Disney Plus wouldn't let me fast forward to the end of the credits. It went to the skip thing. So you're going to have to do what I did last time and sort of let me know if there's a post-credit scene, because...
There's not a post-credit scene. We waited till the end on both of them.
Nice.
They're going to do it randomly so that you have to check the end of all of them.
I just want the, like, post, like, because...
Fucking Disney.
No, because...
like, you know what, we're not going to do it on everyone. Because then they'll, we're going to tease it. We're going to do it in, like, one of them.
Yeah. But, I mean, because the post-credit scenes, like, are...
So now you have to watch to the end of all of them.
Yeah. Well, they want to get their watch hours up, too. That's why when WWE Network became a thing, they started making the pay-per-views longer and longer and longer, because they thought it would equal more viewer hours, and then people just started pirating pay-per-views again. But hey, now they're owned by Peacock. What was I going to say? No, I hope we do get post-credit scenes, and I hope, unlike the ones in WandaVision that were sort of like tag-ons to that episode, I almost kind of hope that, like, one of the post-credits is a setup for Armor Wars. One of the post-credits is, like, something from Black Widow or like a cameo from Black Widow. I hope it's where, like, they use the show post-credits to sort of inch at other things as well as building the show that we're currently in, because I think Marvel does that pretty well. Marvel set the standard for 2 things. Marvel set the standard for having a cinematic universe and placing your post-credit scenes just enough to sort of like tell you where the world is going next without sort of handing it over. Now, that was the first episode. As we said, I honestly, we spent longer on that than I thought we were going to, which is fine. The name of the episode was called New World Order, which, again, me being a wrestling fan, that made me laugh a lot. Name of the second episode is The Star-Spangled Man, obviously a tip-off to the original Iron Man, The Star-Spangled Man with the Plan. And I don't know. At the very beginning...
You mean the first Captain America?
Yeah. What did I say?
Iron Man.
Okay. Well, Iron Man's better. That's why.
No, he's not. Moving on.
He really is.
No, he's not. Moving on.
Whole bunch.
No, he's not.
Really
moving
is.
on. No, he's not. Moving on.
Civil War had to be a 2-on-1 fight. Moving on. Anyways, I did think it was kind of cool that they kind of initially are playing this. Obviously, this guy's going to end up being a dickhead. But they play it off in the beginning sort of like the actual Captain America was at the beginning, where they sort of made this character, but they didn't actually want him to fight. They just made him like this poster boy, this poster child. They brought him out to like the USO shows back in the day when they were trying to sell like bonds to help the war and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they're kind of doing like the 2021 version of that. They're having him go on tour around the country. He's at his own...
He's going on Good Morning America. He's showing up at his old high school.
I mean, you see his friend and his either wife or girlfriend, I'm not sure which, and they have that joke, oh, has he puked yet? And they're trying to play it off like, hey, initially this guy was a good guy. He had the resume. Here's what kills me, though. They're trying to tell you why this guy should be the new Captain America, and they start rhyming off his military resume. One of the big building blocks towards Steve Rogers being Captain America was that he was told for time infinitum that he wasn't good enough to be in the Army, that he wasn't made of Army stuff, and that's why...
He didn't have Army material. He kept going to place to place to place trying to enlist.
Yeah.
And he had too many health issues.
Yep. and he was just small, and his performance was weak, and all he had really was heart and whatever. So pushing this guy's military, I know it's the point. I know it's what we're supposed to get out of this episode, but like pushing this guy is.
Well, what's funny? So if I can do some comic book context.
Sure, go ahead.
He's based off of a character who, for a long time, becomes U.S. agent. He's kind of like, they say he's like anti-Captain America, but not really in a sense that he's anti-Captain America. But basically, everything Captain America is, he is like set up to be the opposite when they were creating this character. You just named one of them right there. It's like Captain America came from like was like a poor guy, and lived in an urban center. This guy is from the South and was like upper middle class kind of thing. Everything he is supposed to be like anti-Steve Rogers in a way.
Steve Rogers from the Dark Dimension.
Yeah, he's not necessarily a bad guy, but he is not Steve Rogers. And I like that they are kind of pushing that. In a sense, he's like, I'm not Steve Rogers. I'm just trying to be the best Captain America I can be. They do in the comics, he gets like a level of superpowers. They basically do like, they're like what is the word? He has like, here it is. He has he's been given like augmentation through mutant DNA. So basically they Deadpool him, basically. They shove a bunch of mutant DNA in him, and he, super soldier then kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know that they're doing that in this one.
Yeah.
And so, whereas Cap is like, whereas this guy, Cap was not like, he wanted to get in the military and all of that stuff. This guy already has the military resume, so he is going to do things differently than Cap does.
Supposedly, in this show, and again, rumors, I just like having fun with rumors because it lets us do like a little bit of fantasy booking, fantasy writing, whatever. Supposedly, part of what this show is supposed to do is it's supposed to tie together all the loose threads of everybody that is a result of them trying to recreate the Steve Rogers project, like Hulk.
They touch on that a couple times, more than one time this episode.
They do, but I'm saying like in general, like Hulk is a result of them trying to recreate Steve Rogers.
You should just, for people that aren't into the comics, there's a lot of heroes. Anybody who basically has like a level of like super strength
is a result of a botched.
9 times out of 10, somebody being like, well, the guy who made the super serum soldier died, and we don't have any copies of it, so we're going to have this other guy try and make super soldier serum. Like, there are so many heroes that are like, we're trying to create the super soldier serum.
Hold on a minute.
And now I get to sit in the awkward silence because he ran off. But yes, every time, there are a lot of heroes that are like, we tried to, make a super soldier, and, then you get this guy. And that's kind of...
Okay, now we're even. We've both done it.
Yep, I just said that. It's a running theme in Marvel that, like, we made this because we wanted to make another Captain America, and, there's something wrong with this one.
Yep. Well, if you think, like, just immediately in the movies, there's Bucky. There's the 6 dead super soldiers that Zemo killed in Civil War. There's Hulk. There's Abomination. There's eventually Wolverine, which spins off into Deadpool. The idea that you could eventually one day have like the super soldier army with all these characters, all these good and bads. It's never going to happen.
Like,
but
every time they try and make the super soldier serum, it either goes horribly wrong, like it fucks with you in a way that it does, like, or you can do it one time, and that's it.
Yep, and that guy has come and gone already.
Yeah.
I did think it was cool that they didn't...
Well, Hulk, it goes terribly wrong. Wolverine, you can only do that one time because he has, like, the healing ability and shit. Deadpool, I would say, went horribly wrong, but...
Now, are you talking about Deadpool in the in the X-Men movie, or Deadpool in Deadpool?
Deadpool and Deadpool.
Just cleaning,
yes.
just cleaning up the
Both of them.
timeline.
Both of them.
Anyways, getting back to our introduction to this guy, I do like that at least initially they're not making him a bad guy. Like he's a bit unknowing, he's a bit naive, but he is going in there with I'm not Steve Rogers, I'm just going to be the best guy I can be. He is wrestling with like what taking on this mantle means. And again, this is where I talk about the show being grounded, and I'm probably going to say that a lot in the next upcoming few podcasts. They're doing shit that you don't typically see superhero movies and shows take on a whole lot. Like, we're dealing with guilt, we're dealing with loss, we're dealing with grieving and bereavement and resent and regret and, struggling in new roles and all this stuff that realistically could go under, like, the mental health banner. Which, in a typical, hour and a half, shoot 'em up, everything explodes, and everybody gets some new toys action movie, doesn't really get addressed that much. And I don't think you can do that as much with the fantastical, like the galactic, we're fighting in space movies, but you get a nice grounded show like this where you get the time to sort of seek it out. I think it's really cool, and it'll add so much depth to the next time we see them, joining the bigger characters in a bigger war when they need a bigger team, and I think in the first 2 episodes alone, I think they deserve a lot of credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
But sorry?
Go ahead. I was reading into the next part that I'm going to bring up.
Oh, okay.
In a little bit.
So we do flip back over to Falcon after we get to know this guy and his Monday morning ABC show, whatever that he's doing.
He's on Good Morning America.
Good Morning America.
Basically.
I live in Canada. We don't have any American mornings in Canada. We cut back from the screen. We see, Falcon's watching it at home. Obviously, Bucky's watching it at home. Bucky's got, like, so much, like, PTSD and bullshit to get over that he doesn't even have furniture. He's just, like, sitting on the floor watching the TV.
Yeah. He's like, I don't, whatever.
And, yeah, he's so whatever. Like,
That's right, he, like, sleeps on the floor and shit.
Yeah. Like, he's not contributing much because he doesn't have the capacity to contribute very much right now because of all the stuff that he's struggling with, which goes back to what I was saying a second ago. But also, like, he's not even taking care of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more, we're going to get behind Falcon as the new Captain America eventually, and that's fine. But the guy that's going to walk away, if it keeps going in this direction, the one that's always going to walk away with more sympathy is going to be fucking Bucky. Because you look at the two of them, as far as the, how much shit have I been through meter, like, Falcon's not going to come close. And that's not to say that he's suddenly bad, because not as much bad stuff has happened to him, but, like, the built-in sympathy on the show is going to work.
The built-in PTSD of I haven't dealt with the fact that I was literally, like, put on ice, woken up to kill somebody, put on ice, woken up to kill somebody, put on ice, woken up to kill somebody, finally got a level of my life back, was framed.
The one time I didn't kill somebody.
Settled in Wakanda, had to go and kill people, got blipped, came back, had to kill people.
We have to go back to that for a second. Go back to Civil War, because that's something I hadn't thought of until just now. Of all the people that he killed, what got people finally after him in Civil War was the one guy that he didn't actually kill.
Yeah.
Like, that's fuckery of the highest order. I'm smiling as I say that because that's fucking hilarious. So he catches up with Falcon, who's about to take off. He's going to,
He's basically fussing at Falcon about giving up the shield.
Well, he is, but Falcon's getting ready to go to, I believe, Munich, Germany.
Yes.
Where the Flag Smashers, that's the last place the Flag Smashers were and whatever. So he basically just shows up while he's about to take off. And they do have the great argument about Harry Potter and oh my god, these guys are, hey, Bucky. Like I know you're.
Yeah, that's right. Falcon's
Is
like.
it one of the
That's
one of
why
the big
it's
three?
One of the big three. What does that mean?
Aliens, androids, and wizards.
Aliens, androids, and wizards. There aren't wizards. What's Doctor Strange? He's a sorcerer.
Sorcerers are wizards without
a
hats.
I really thought of that shit.
I really wish they hadn't put that in the trailer. I wish I had seen that for the first time today.
I didn't see it in the trailer, so I thought it was freaking hilarious.
Well, I'm the opposite of you. You know I watch the preliminary stuff way too much. I don't watch the follow-up stuff as much. I still haven't watched the follow-up to WandaVision, the creating the Marvel Universe thing that they did. Because I'm kind of thinking I don't want to, but also I haven't gotten around to it, because I had to watch 4 hours and 2 minutes of the Snyder Cut. Hey! If you want my suggestion, guys, go watch it. It's good, but that's me. Anyway, so they argue, they bicker, We get the whole,
and
like...
This is the dynamic of Falcon, of Sam and Bucky is exactly
fantastic.
When this was when this show was just a premise, we're gonna have Sam, we're gonna have Falcon and Winter Soldier. This is the dynamic I pictured them and wanted them to have. It's like you said, it's like buddy cop but lethal weapon. They hate each other, but they do the little jabs and quips at each other to basically just to aggravate the other one.
It's so good, but like the thing is, at the same time, they work. The thing is, if I was with a person,
they reluctantly work well together.
No, I think the opposite. I think it pisses them off how well they work together. Like to have somebody that you disagree with that much, but you also know you work so well with, would be the ultimate mindfuck. But they do the thing that was also in a lot of the trailers. It's like, okay, fine,
He was like, Steve would always have a plan. What is the plan? And he refuses to tell him the plan, and then jumps out of the plane.
And Bucky jumps out of the plane and uses his arm to break his fall.
Yeah, he's like,
that's not okay.
He's like, he's like, where's the chute? We're too low
to do a chute.
The chute's not, whatever. I don't fucking need one anyways. Jumps. And
then freaking Falcon lands.
Drone. He has Red Wing, and he's
Falcon
like,
lands. Red Wing lands.
Right?
Yeah, I'm about 5 miles up north or whatever he says. I do like though when they do get together. It's like, I've got all this tech. You don't have to be so stealthy. There, White Panther. And he's like, hey, it's the White Wolf. You called him White Panther. I nearly fucking died.
You hang out in Wakanda for a little bit, then now you White Panther. Actually, White Wolf. What?
See, and this is another thing that we said at the beginning, because Falcon is going to be the new Cap. Like, the name of the show, and I know that it's not canon, or they haven't made it canon just yet, but they're not Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier was what he was called when he was like a serial killer, pretty much, right? And Falcon isn't going to be Falcon much longer. He's going to be the new Captain America by the end of the show. So I'm surprised they didn't call this show Captain America and the White Wolf, because that would have been awesome. I'm just saying.
Either way.
They mentioned him once as the White Wolf in one of the post-credits.
It's what the little kids in Wakanda say that he is.
Yeah. The White Wolf has slept long enough, and he comes out of the tent with literally one arm because he doesn't even give a shit about having his other arm anymore. And I'm like, why didn't they make that canon? That's awesome, because he's still got the name from when he was a bad guy, which is a creative decision on their part. It doesn't change anything. Let me be real, but it's one creative decision on the minor scale that I can't believe they didn't jump on. But that's just me, and I get hung up on really, really weird shit. They spy on the soldiers. Falcon has his flex moment with the technology because Bucky can only see 2 people, but that's because there's 5 people behind the wall, and Falcon's got extra.
When Bucky gets in there, and then Falcon shows up next to him, and he goes,
he's like, how many do you see?
See, I'm here, and literally, we've wasted no time.
Yeah, but look,
they are bickering the entire time.
It's so good. It's so good. So then you get the thing that is in a lot of movies. We're gonna go save the hostage. We gotta go save that poor girl. Except the poor girl kicks you out of the back of the friggin' truck, and then we get what I will say is a pretty awesome. Like, it's hard to describe what it is. It's a fight scene, but it's also a chase scene because they're fighting on top of trucks and
Yeah.
trunks and whatnot. They very quickly realize that these people do not have the strength of typical people. Clearly, they're super soldiers, although nobody's said it yet. And then they get saved, quote unquote,
Yeah,
by
Captain America and what is this
Battlestar.
name? Battlestar, because that's okay. So they have their fight. Captain America and Battlestar show up, and then after Falcon and Bucky get kicked off, and they're literally like walking up the street. New Cap, and Battlestar.
Well, the four of them. Okay, let's not completely scoop over this, because the four of them get owned. Because I don't think.
Oh yeah, they all get their asses kicked.
Because I don't
Although
think.
I will say, New Cap is great with the shield.
Yeah.
I think that was a big part. That
Yeah.
was cool.
Well, this is
I
where I'm
feel
saying,
like
he's
the
not
shield-
necessarily a bad guy right now. He's trying to step up into a good guy's shoes, and we're going to see him progress over the next couple episodes. I'm pretty sure.
I think he's going to become more
Of a dick.
asshole-ish as this persona of Steve Rogers basically is hung over him constantly.
That's what I wanted to hit on, is because he's trying so hard to aspire to be this person that, let's be real, like
everybody is resentful that you're not.
Yeah, but I was going to say everybody in the military at this point, you got to believe over the decades and decades, has in some form or another probably enshrined Steve Rogers in their minds.
Yes.
And he's been chosen to fill this role, and he's just going to aspire to be this, I'm not trying to be Steve, like, I'm going to overuse this expression as well, but, like, I'm not trying to be Steve Rogers, I'm just trying to be the best Captain America I can.
It's
and people
the epitome of when you make, like, a new movie for something, and everybody's like, but it's not like the old thing, so we hate it.
People hate Jared Leto because he's not Heath Ledger, etc., etc., etc.
I hate Jared Leto because it sucked.
Oh, don't be
It
sad.
had nothing to do with Heath Ledger.
Don't be sad. Jared Leto's great.
Jared Leto's great. Not.
We need a Batman movie with Jared Leto's Joker and George Clooney's Batman.
That nobody will go see. And I'm somebody who watched George Clooney's Batman and didn't think it was too bad.
That was your entry point.
Until the credit card scene, which only realized was bad with age.
He's got the bat
Never
card.
became without it. Anyways.
Oh my god.
So
it's
yeah,
so bad.
They all get owned. They get their asses kicked.
See, okay, I got to stop you because I got to show a bit of my ignorance. I didn't know that Battlestar was a thing. Even in the precursor.
I didn't either. I had to look it up.
Even in the precursor stuff, anybody that I've watched, and as I say, as usual, shout out to Emergency Awesome, shout out to What Culture, they're who I go to for most of these things. Nobody had mentioned a character named Battlestar. So instantly, I was like, holy shit, they made a new Steve Rogers, so they just gave him a new Falcon? Like, that's...
They just gave him a
token black guy. I'm like,
they
that's...
did give him a token black guy. And what's hilarious is that as dumb as we all think that name is, Battlestar, as soon as they're like, there's a scene there, Falcon and Bucky are walking up the road, and then this army Jeep truck drives up, and it has New Cap and Battlestar in it, and they're like, come on, get in, we'll give you a ride, like trying to be like nice guys, and Bucky's just like not having it kind of thing, and neither is Falcon, and then they eventually get in.
Bucky is the audience.
Talking about cooperating and like working together, and then Bucky's like, well, who the hell are you? And he says like, I'm like
Battlestar. He's like, stop the car.
First he says his name. He's like, Sergeant like
whoever.
Hopkins or some shit like that, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna need more than that, and they're like, oh, I'm Battlestar.
He's like, stop the car.
He's like, I'm out. Fuck that.
He decides to walk.
I don't want to be with this guy anymore.
No, because you know what it's like, and I think it's funny because there was no War Machine in this episode. War Machine was in the previous episode, but Battlestar, when I heard that name, it reminded me of when they made War Machine change his name to Iron Patriot, because it's just cheesy enough to be like, nah, why are you doing that? I feel like in this case, Battlestar might have had a cool name at one point, and we'll just never know what it was.
I believe Battlestar is.
Oh no! I have no doubt that it's his name, but that's what that name makes me feel.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna pull up Battlestar.
You go ahead and do that, because they do this, and
let's see, his comic book costume is, imagine a Captain America themed Vision costume without, like from the comics, without the cape. Basically, like
no
it has
capes.
The high collar and like the big gloves and. And then the top half is like red with a star on it, and then at the bottom of the star it goes down blue with it's just as dumb as you think it is.
I feel like these shows are going to take the stuff from the comics that was like legit at the time but would be laughable now and let us laugh at them.
Oh my god, hang on, I'm going to read you.
I'm
going to read you this. So he's always kind of been with let's see. John becomes a costume political aggregate called Super Patriot, while Lamar works as a bold urban commando, the Buckies, who stage attacks on Super Patriots during his rally to help support and build his brand.
All of that sounds like cancer. But
I love how they can take these characters that are like that and
make them good,
make them realistic.
Well, his
alias is Bucky. They literally well, you need a Bucky, and it's gonna be a black dude. They basically combine
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Falcon and
That's
Bucky
so fucking
together
terrible.
into one sidekick.
That's so fucking terrible. But you know what it is? It's like we said in WandaVision, and I'm going to stop bouncing from show to show eventually, I promise, except that promise will not be kept. Because WandaVision was set up in such a way, because it was so fantastical and so anything goes, they literally made a Halloween episode so they could pay tribute to those old, comics accurate costumes in such a way that, yeah, they're cheesy Halloween costumes. That's the only reason they look like this. Because the comic book people would love that nod, but then we're still going to come back to something that in 2021 is not completely laughable.
And the costume, quote, the costume that Battlestar has is very close to his, but a little more militarized. Like, he has the costume, but also he's putting on, a bulletproof vest over it kind of thing.
Mm. And see, I don't mind that, because, like we say, they're still human. I think the only super soldier on the good guy side is Bucky.
Is Bucky. Yeah, it's
right?
Bucky.
And I think it's funny, because they say they keep calling him Battlestar, and that's apparently his name, I guess. It so happens that I saw I was telling you about this before. I know you haven't seen it yet, but the trailer for the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie that's coming out that looks wacky as shit, and one of the main villains or destructors or whatever,
looks like
it's a giant alien starfish that's stepping on buildings and shit.
Yeah.
Starro. So now for that, and then I see Battlestar on here.
What's funny is that I know what that is from the comic books.
It's too much star. Anyways, we come back to America after the long, awkward pause thing, and they have...
because they're like, no, we're not
doing that. Well, Bucky is. Falcon's he's trying to be the logical, hey man, 4 is better than 2, and Roger. He's not on board, but he's trying to hear them out so that Bucky can be the character that's like, nah, fuck those guys.
So they're going back, and
they start talking about how they're super. He's like, those guys were more like me. Those were way stronger than regular people. I'm gonna go talk to somebody that's gonna know where they came from. And he goes to visit
somebody that might know where they came from. Basically,
he goes to see an old friend who's not an old friend. It's this old black dude who apparently was Captain America in the comics for a while.
He was they literally call him the Black Captain America.
Hey.
Comic. Black Captain America. Basically, and once you hear his story, it's kind of fucked up.
It's kind of tragic.
So,
you get that even from just watching the episode.
Well, and basically that's why I looked it up, because he's like, yeah, fuck all of that.
Fuck you guys,
so
I'm going home.
What happens is, like everything, they're like, we need more super soldiers, but the guy's dead, so is literally like they forcibly recruit 300 African American soldiers to use as test subjects, and like he is one of like 2 that survived.
Yeah.
Basically, like only like a couple made it, and then then I assume it diverges from his actual background story at this point, because he, from what it makes it out in the episode, he is after the war, they kind of just, confiscate him like he's a piece of property.
And they make him a lab rat, pretty much.
Him to like try and figure out why it worked in this guy.
Yeah, I do like, and it wasn't really contextual to the rest of it, but I do like as they're approaching his house, you see the 2 kids that are playing around outside, and he's like, "Hey, you're the Black Falcon." He's like, "No man, I'm just Falcon."
I'm just Falcon.
But my dad calls you.
My dad says you're the Black Falcon.
He's like, "Are you the
Why?
black? Are
I'm
you
black?"
He's like, "Are you the black kid?" I love that because that's so subversive to, a movie or a show that would try to like virtue signal and be like, "Hey, cool, you're black." Like he's like, "No, I'm just me. Like I wouldn't call you the black kid. You don't need to call me the Black Falcon." I thought that was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It just happened and it moved on. It didn't overstay its welcome. It didn't hit anything over the head. But I thought that was it's so the counter to a lot of things that I hate in a lot of other movies, where it's like, we got a bunch of heroes, but this person's also whatever, person of color, or this person's finally a female instead of a male, or whatever the case may be. Hey, it's the first time we've ever had somebody from Alabama play Thor. Like, just do stuff. Just be awesome. Be awesome people and do stuff.
Another interesting thing about the background of, because I've been talking about, they're building Young Avengers, basically.
Yes. Oh yeah, his kid is apparently one of the Young Avengers.
No, it's his grandson.
His grandson.
So he's technically sterile. He can't produce any offspring. But I guess his wife at the time, he marries a girl that already has grandkids, and one of her grandkids, Eli, he has to have a blood transfusion.
Oh man.
And they match, so then he gets...
Isn't that how She-Hulk becomes She-Hulk?
Yeah, basically.
The medical community in the MCU is not very responsible. Anyways, sorry I cut you off.
And that's, how he becomes like the Young Avengers Captain America.
Yeah, because he becomes something. Yeah, it's something else. I saw it in a video earlier today. I can't remember. Yeah, because it's not another Captain America. It's like the Patriot or something like that.
Let me look it up.
Look it up. You do the wiki goofoo.
Yep, doing wiki goofoo. He is called. Yeah, I think he's just called Patriot.
That's fair enough. You don't have to make it overly complicated. But he does freak out on them and be like, "No, like, fuck you, I'm not helping you," whatever the case may be. Your people did this to me. And the way he says it, it's intentionally sort of set out to look like he's only yelling at Bucky. So, like, maybe he doesn't like him because of something else. But really, it's because he's making a reference to Hydra. And he's like, "All right, fine, we're leaving. Like, we're going to fuck off, whatever." And then they're arguing in the street. And then the cops come up. And then the cops think they're fighting and try to break it up. And of course, they go specifically to Falcon because social messaging. Yay!
Because he's a black dude.
Yay, social messaging.
This is a thing that does happen in neighborhoods. It's like, specifically in this kind of neighborhood where it's primarily black.
Anyways, and then they do an about face.
I know you don't want it shoved in your face, but, it's a thing that happens.
I watch 2 TV shows on Thursday nights that are linked to each other, so I get 2 hours of this, and it's on that particular show. It's incredibly.
Hey, I think pointing it out to people that don't understand that this happens in any sort of popular thing, I'm cool with, because there are a lot of people that don't realize this is a real thing that happens, and it's fucked up.
Of course it is. Like, but that same thing would be fucked up regardless. Like, if I went to another part of the world And
yes, but
they
does that
saw,
happen?
probably.
You're a white dude and you walk into another neighborhood and the cops are like, hey, you're not supposed to be here.
I'll tell you what, if it did, it wouldn't make the news.
But
Anyways,
that's because it doesn't happen very often, and it does happen in the other. You know what? Let's not, because I could get on this soapbox all day. So moving on.
anyway, so they do an about face and they make the cops look really dumb. Yay! As soon as they realize that he's the Falcon, and it's like, okay, cool. Now we'll let you go and we'll arrest Bucky for like missing his therapy appointment.
Well, he has a warrant out for his arrest because court mandated therapy.
Yeah. Oh, that's
but
fine.
did they assume the white dude? And they're like, oh yeah, oh.
No, they went because the one guy came back from the car and he's like, okay, cool, we're gonna let you go. Sorry guys, we didn't realize who you were, whatever. But hey, Bucky, you gotta go, and he gets thrown in the thing, and the comically painful aspect of him getting to the prison and then getting signed out of prison and seeing his therapist and thanking his therapist is, oh well.
Well, wait, hang on. First, New Cap is the one that got him out.
Yeah, well, that's what
like again trying to be like, hey, we should all work together.
Well, that's what I was about to say, because he comes out and he thinks the therapist did it, and then the therapist is like, no, it was actually him, and then he's like, oh yeah, me and him were in like some like strategic teams back in the day or something like that, and he's like, fuck me, I hate this guy, he's fucking with me, he's got my therapist on his side, like, and then she decides, even though like his mandated therapy has been abolished, she still somehow says, yeah, you, mandatory therapy right now in the next room, and somehow she's able to tell Falcon the same thing. And what happens next, she says the couples therapy.
Yeah, that's basically what it is, and it's everything you want it to be.
It's so good.
But also has the reason why Bucky is really upset about the fact that Falcon is not Captain America.
I was going to say, the scene is hilarious until it's not.
Yes.
Until it gets really deep all of a sudden.
Where they're like, get closer.
Yeah, and then, my God, are you guys actually having a staring contest? Jesus Christ.
I like the part where they're having to get like closer and they're like, oh, okay, so do you want to move over? Do you want, like, it's all bickering all the time.
Okay, but that is an uncomfortable amount of closeness for any two human beings that aren't fucking. Like, the way they were sitting. Like, no. But then they do the whole, so you want your knees to go this way and my knees to go this way and all that sort of thing. But they do the big thing, and wasn't it like the soul stare or whatever she says, and it turns into a staring contest, and she
snaps her fingers so that they both blink.
Yep.
Be like, there, it's over. You both lost.
And she pulls off the perfect, like, parental look. She pulls off the perfect, holy fuck, stop being children thing. And it's great. Everything between these two guys is great. And then he does say, basically, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but basically his thing is, you gave up that shield after Cap gave it to you. Cap gave it to you out of his own judgment, and I trust his judgment, and if you're saying that Cap was wrong about you, then maybe he was wrong about me. Because Cap was the one that made him feel like he could be redeemed as a human being and all that sort of thing. And that was a deep cut. Like, that was an incredibly deep cut, and it was done really well.
It was the point that made Falcon be like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah, we're done, and we step out and whatever.
Being Captain America, or me either being or not being Captain America shouldn't be predicated on the fact that on you. It's because I want to do it, and I don't. I don't think I'm the right person for it.
See, and they threw me for a loop because they were gonna go. They went with the emotional angle of if he wasn't right about you, then he couldn't have been right about me either. I could have sworn that the end of that was gonna be, if it shouldn't have been you, then it should have been me. I thought they were going to go that way, and they didn't, which kind of impressed me.
I like that they didn't go that way, because with all the fucked up that Bucky is, no way he thinks he's ready to be Captain America. No way can he be like, I'm fucking Steve Rock. Like, I can't be Steve.
Yeah, but he'd still be a better Captain America than this guy that just came out of the G.I. Joe factory.
Well, I mean, but he doesn't care about that. He cares about the fact that this guy is not Steve.
Well,
Steve picked Falcon
yeah.
to be Captain America. He didn't pick this guy. Fuck this guy and his dumb named sidekick.
I do like the point, and we didn't hit on it earlier in the bickering, where he does start taking things personally, and he's like, you don't call me Bucky. Steve called me Bucky. He knew me way longer than you. And then you get into that whole, like, literally the only person that knows what it's like to come out of the ice, like, 50 years later, called me Bucky. You don't get to do that. And I think, you know what?
And then he proceeds to have everybody calls him Bucky
Well,
for
it's
the rest
true, yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Doesn't correct the other guys.
But I just think that,
James,
but
to you guys.
yeah,
Fuck
but
off.
that combined with the fact that he's like really pissed at him, and he's like, basically, because if you're going against what Captain America wanted, like, you're pissing on him after he's gone, right? So you're pissing on the guy that used to call me that, so you don't get to call me that. And I think that one line, you don't get to call me that, that's what he called me. A line like that, or a 5-second moment like that on a show or a movie has the potential to come off really cheesy, but because we know everything we know leading into it, that's the one part of the bickering that didn't come off like bickering, and I thought that came off really well.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so for the second time in the same episode, he basically says, you know, if we got to find out...
Fuck off to new Captain America.
Well, he says fuck off to new Captain America.
Well, and also, Falcon presents a, like, actually very valid point, because...
Yes, he does.
You know, Falcon's not working as, like, in the military or anything.
He's freelancing, I think he
he's
said.
He's basically freelancing. He's not a military guy, and so they don't have to have all the same maneuver. They don't have to do all the same stuff that...
They don't have to ask for the same permission.
Yes, that he has to, so it's not going to help them at all.
Yeah.
To have him. Although I would say that it would be helpful, like, but they don't want to work with him.
Yeah.
So to them, they don't see any point in working with him. To the other two guys, they see it as a, like, we should work with you, probably because of all those things. And also, you know, this guy also kind of wants to use, like, hey, if people see Falcon with me, working with me, it will more legitimize my Captain America role.
That's a good
point. Which is what I think they will touch on. And basically he says at one point, if you were my wingman, he goes, you had to say wingman, didn't you?
It's always that one last line you got to get in, right? See, I hadn't thought of the whole, like, them working with him would legitimize him. I think it's more along the lines of, here's two actual Avengers that have seen some shit. And you got two new guys that have been pretending to be Avengers for a week or so.
Mm-hmm.
There's
that too, but that's what I see, is that because of that line earlier of, like, you know, if you would be my wingman, I think he, you know, if Bucky works with him, that also helps legitimize him, because we all know Bucky is his friend, Steve Rogers' friend. So if he could get those two guys behind him, it almost legitimizes his role to people that may be like, fuck you, you're not Captain America, you're not Steve Rogers, therefore I don't like you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It might sway a lot.
And it's back to the whole, like, you're not Steve, I'm not going to do anything that helps the general public see you as anything close to Steve.
Yeah.
And that makes entirely sense. And the one thing you do see is, after the fact, like, they decide they're going to go their own way, and he's like, cool, well, then don't try to get in my way then. And he's
Which makes him very not like Captain America.
Well, exactly. But then we have what I was about to say a second ago, and then I lost my train of thought. It's the second time in the same episode where Bucky says, oh, we got to go talk to somebody like me. First time he said it, he meant we were going to go talk to another super soldier. Second time he says it, he's talking about himself in a little bit of a darker way. He's referencing, like, when he was part of Hydra, and this is their reference to, oh, we're going to go see Zemo, Baron Zemo, who's apparently going to be one of the big...
Yeah, I don't think he's Hydra, but I think he, after studying everything, because he basically tracked the Avengers for, like, years and shit, and he would know about Hydra.
It's true, and he would know where people were getting super soldier serums from.
He might know.
we cut to the Flag Smashers loading up a bunch of it's all the medicines and all the different shit that were in the trucks while they were having the chase.
Yeah, and there's somebody after them too.
Can't think of who it is. Basically, it's...
I also like the fact that they I feel like, you know, this central like bad guy, this central organization that's a bad guy thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of camaraderie there, and there's a
Yes.
lot of like.
It's genuine.
It's very genuine because
it's not just like a bunch of gang bullshit.
It's not like a bunch
stupid.
of thugs there like we're being thugs. Like it's people that are unhappy with the fact that after all the people that disappeared came back, there's a lot more focus on the people that came back as opposed to the people that were always there and now seem to be shoved to the side to try and make up for the fact that a lot of these people disappeared, and so we need to help them.
Yeah, and you know what it is, and it goes for a lot of villains. It's you can have a villain, and you can have a villain that does villain things, but if you can understand their motivation, the biggest test of this for me, you're gonna laugh, I know, is going back to the movie Saw, right? Because Saw has some horrible shit in it, but if you get past the horrible shit and you pay attention to the Jigsaw character, you don't agree with what he's doing, obviously, but you start understanding it, and that's to do that with a movie like Saw is a little bit morbid. I understand that, but you go with these people, and you don't want to see them succeed in eradicating half the population. But when you see what they think that's going to do, you know, it's gonna tear down borders, and we're all going to be joined together as one group again. And they keep saying like, you know, one world, one people, and those are ideas that, when filtered in the right direction, are positive. So they're not, they go from being like 100% bad guys to like 95% bad guys. Like they are essentially like Killmonger. Like the thing you are fighting for is a legitimate thing to fight for, but you are doing it in a fucked up way. Yeah, like there's a difference between blowing up a bank because you want a bunch of money and doing whatever they're trying to do because you genuinely want to pull the world back together, and you think that what you're doing, and I love that. I love that more than a straight up bad guy, for sure. For sure. Even like, what's another good example? Because Marvel has done a few in the past year. Vulture.
Killmonger is another one like that.
Killmonger is like that for sure. Killmonger gets like to the top of the list when it comes to stuff like that for character development. But I would say, what the fuck is his name? Michael Keaton's character in Spider-Man. Vulture. Because he started off because he basically lost all his money because, you know, big bad, you know, rich Tony Stark took the job away that him and his guys were doing. And that's a very...
They were doing the
salvage and cleanup and whatever. No. And it's like, you know, here's a guy that had his finances taken away, and he, bottom line, wants to get his finances back so he can, like, not lose his house and not lose his family and shit. Now, he goes off and does some crazy shit afterwards, which is not anything. But to set these characters up like that, I'm going to try and bring this back from the ramble, to set these characters up like that and imply that there's a group that even this group is afraid of, sets it up in a layer, and then to cap off the episode with, hey, remember this guy, this chess player of a character who made all the Avengers try to kill each other? Yeah, he's there too. So here's these people that we've seen fight all episode, and they're super soldiers, and they just kick the shit out of all of our heroes, the good heroes and the not so good heroes, and they're the ones that are third in the pecking order now of things we need to worry about on the show. I think layering it up like that is one of those things that makes the audience not only say, okay, here's the problem, but here's the bigger problem, but here's the bigger problem, but it also makes us as the audience say, hey, Bucky, hey, Falcon, you guys got to get your shit together because you've got this much to worry about. And we stop the episode on the brief security camera shot of Baron Zemo just basically he's chill, and it's a Magneto introduction because he's a bad guy and he's got the classical music playing, and he's there in his cell, and he's probably perfectly happy to be there in his cell, operating all the chess pieces from where he is, and he's literally got a chessboard in front of him.
It's a little on the nose, but all right.
It's a little on the nose, but you know what? As I said at the beginning of this pod, like, the cliches are cliches for a reason, and when they're done well, I can still appreciate them. That's the first 2 episodes.
I think I was more psyched about this in 2 episodes than I was about WandaVision. It took me a little longer to be like, to get into WandaVision.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that, like...
Basically, it took the episode of this is all the shit that's happening outside of the sitcom to be like, okay.
Yeah, like...
Now you see what's actually... And there you saw what's actually happening. This, I feel like they did their little background episode, and they got into it quickly. And again, I believe this is full on the story of how Sam decides he's going to be his version of Captain America.
Or we get a big swerve and it's Bucky.
Maybe. I'm usually okay with a Marvel swerve.
But I will say, though, like, in the comics, and you'd know this better than I do, Bucky does take up the mantle at one point, doesn't he?
He does.
Okay. So it's not even going to piss off the people that have read the comics, because it's not even really a swerve. It's just a case of, hey, you've got 2 directions you could go to. Are you going to go A or are you going to go B? The one thought I did have, because we mentioned the first episode, and you can tell by how much time we spent on it, it was basically an introductory episode. It was basically a here's where everybody is episode. I think it could have been shorter. Like, I will say these episodes are longer than the WandaVision episodes as well, which is why we've got so much more to talk about. You could have shortened that episode, and these 2 episodes together could have been 1 episode. Quickly catch us up on where they are, and then drop them into the action. I understand why you wanted to do those things separately, but I think on a different kind of timeline, these 2 episodes could have been episode 1.
Mm-hmm. I think you could. I think if you had released these 2 at the same time,
like they did with
like
WandaVision,
a twofer episode. But I also know that it's it's only 6 episodes, so it'll be a little short.
Yeah.
I'm looking at WikiGufu right now, doing some of that, and basically he becomes Captain America. There's a storyline where Captain America is like assassinated.
Ooh.
I believe it's right after maybe I'm thinking of a different one. I'm trying to read this.
Isn't it one of the Infinity War comics?
I don't think it is one of the I know that he's assassinated at one point, but it's after it is after no, it's not after Infinity Wars. What is it? It's the Registration Act saga.
What they
Basically,
turned into the Sokovia
Accords. They got Civil War. Yes, it's the Civil War saga. And I think Cap turns himself in. I'm not sure if that's when Bucky becomes Captain America or not. It may be. But, I mean, it's right after an arc called The Death of Captain America. So.
Well, there you go. That's, you want to talk about right on the
Bucky
nose, that's
takes
right
up
on the
the
nose.
mantle, but he's not Steve Rogers either. It's where you get the Captain America that carries the gun.
Nice. Like we saw in this episode.
Yes.
With the Captain America that carries the gun. Although, when you watch the first Avenger, he's got a gun along with his shield in a bit of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was freaking out about that yesterday that I saw reacting on, why would they give Captain America a gun? Well, like, the actual Captain America had a gun. So... Anyways, before we fuck off, I should kind of say where we're going with this. Next weekend is apparently Godzilla vs. Kong. You were telling me before
I believe we are going to go watch it next week.
Yeah,
so.
Or I'm going to have to download it or whatever. So potentially we might have a Godzilla vs. Kong review next week if all those stars align. The weekend after that, I'm not gonna try and squeeze anything more in other than wrestling
because it's a lot.
because it's WrestleMania week, and I'm going to be exhausted, and I plan on having a drink or two, and then a drink or two more. We will be back the following week. Again, all the stars aligning and things going in our favor, and we will review...
And do 3 episodes of...
Yeah. So that'll be a long one.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That'll be a long one, I think. And then we will, because there's only 6 episodes, we will review the final episode on its own and see where we're going next. Because I don't have a Disney Plus calendar in front of me, but I think after this one, they're doing some other kind of show in this slot. So, like, it might be one of the Star Wars shows or whatever. So that'll give us a bit of a break, because I like Mandalorian, but I'm not going to review it. If you want to see reviews of Mandalorian, go over to our buddy OKFabe, who did review all of the last season of The Mandalorian. He also reviewed WandaVision while we were reviewing WandaVision, and I think he's doing reviews for Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well. So, quick shout out to Connor. He does some cool shit over on his channel. If you want even more talk about the stuff that we've been talking about, that's where you can go for that. And we've talked for long enough because I'm starting to lose my voice. Kristen, tell them where to find you.
You can find me on Twitter at BlackCatFeline and on Instagram at BlackCatFeline. And now Spaz gets to end the show on his own because I have to go to the restroom so badly.
All right. And you guys know where to find me or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. She's been Kristen. We have been Flix Fix. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, me and Kristen are out of here. Bye, guys.